The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the small town of Willow Creek. At that moment, Sarah Thompson stood outside her modest home, heart racing, as she clutched a crumpled flyer in one hand. The words 1940s fire truck for sale, $120, screamed at her, a beacon of hope amidst the storm of her crushing financial struggles. The flickering image of the fire truck danced in her mind, a dream that felt almost too good to be true. Sarah, a single mother of two, had long been drowning in a sea of bills and responsibilities. The weight of raising her children alone, balancing part-time jobs, and navigating the unforgiving world of debt felt like an insurmountable burden. Her kids, Lily and Max, were just 7 and 10, their innocent laughter echoing through the cramped apartment that often felt more like a prison than a home. The fire truck represented a glimmer of hope, a chance to escape her mundane existence, a wild idea that could transform their lives. But Sarah was not the only one with her eyes on the fire truck. Paul Grayson, a seasoned mechanic in his late 40s, had been eyeing it too, and he wasn't just interested for the nostalgia of it. A dark cloud hung over Paul. He was entangled in a dangerous game of debts and shady dealings, a life lived on the edge of desperation. He'd heard whispers of unclaimed treasures and hidden compartments in the old fire truck. Rumors that there might be something worth more than its rusty exterior suggested. As Sarah pulled into the overgrown lot where the fire engine was parked, she felt an overwhelming sense of anticipation. The enormous vehicle loomed in front of her, its once vibrant red paint faded and chipped. It stood like a sleeping giant, full of secrets yet to be uncovered. "This is it?" she whispered to herself, her heart thudding loudly in her chest. Just as she stepped closer, a sharp voice interrupted her thoughts. "What do you think you're doing?" It was Paul, swaggering towards her with an air of entitlement. "That truck is mine." "No, it's not yours," Sarah replied, keeping her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I'm here to buy it." Paul laughed, a low, menacing sound. "You think you can just waltz in here and take it? That truck's got history, worth more than you can imagine." He stepped closer, his intimidating presence overshadowing her small frame. "I have plans for it." Unfazed, Sarah narrowed her eyes. "And I have plans for my kids. We could use that fire truck for a food cart or a mobile workshop. It's not just a piece of junk, it's a chance for us." The words spilled out, fueled by desperation and hope. "Good luck with that." "But I wouldn't get my hopes up," he sneered, taking a step back as he crossed his arms. "You don't even know what you're getting into, and I wouldn't be surprised if you end up regretting it." The air crackled with tension as their eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. Sarah's resolve was unwavering. She could feel a surge of determination rising within her. She had to take this chance, for herself and her children. Paul shifted his focus back to the fire truck, his expression darkening. "You know there's a hidden compartment in there, right? A lot of old fire trucks had them." His words hung in the air, pregnant with mystery and danger. "What are you talking about?" Sarah asked, intrigued yet cautious. "Just be careful, Sarah," Paul warned, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You might find more than you bargained for." With that, he turned on his heel and walked away, leaving Sarah standing alone, her heart racing with both fear and excitement. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the lot, Sarah climbed into the driver's seat of the fire truck. The smell of aged metal and dust filled her nostrils as she took a moment to absorb the reality of her decision. She could hardly believe she was sitting behind the wheel of her dream, a relic from a time when heroes wore uniforms and lived to save lives. But something felt amiss. Paul's warning echoed in her mind, a haunting reminder that this wasn't just about restoring a piece of history. It was about survival in a world that didn't seem to care. Determined not to let fear cloud her vision, Sarah turned the key in the ignition. The engine coughed and sputtered before roaring to life, sending vibrations through her body. A smile crept across her face as the power of the fire truck coursed through her veins. Driving back home, she felt an inexplicable connection to the vehicle. It was as if the truck had its own spirit, a story begging to be uncovered. As she parked it in her driveway and stepped out, the weight of the moment settled on her shoulders. "Mom, is that our new truck?" Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement, while Max leaned closer, peering into the cab. "Yes, it is," Sarah exclaimed, her heart swelling at the sight of her children's joy. But in the back of her mind, a nagging thought lingered. What did Paul mean about the hidden compartment? As night cloaked Willow Creek, Sarah felt a whirlwind of emotions: hope, fear, and something else entirely. She knew she had unlocked more than just an old truck. She had opened a Pandora's box that could either save them or plunge them deeper into chaos. What awaited her in that hidden compartment? The thought gnawed at her as she watched her children play, laughter mingling with the chill of uncertainty. She had taken the leap, but in the shadows loomed a question that would set the stage for the struggle of her life. Could this fire truck truly be a blessing, or was it the beginning of a nightmare? Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself against the uncertainty that had begun to consume her. The fire truck, a relic of times past, sat quietly in the driveway, its paint worn and chipped, but its potential pulsed beneath the surface. The hidden compartment promised a fortune, but also a multitude of problems. She could already feel the weight of that decision pressing down on her, like the heavy steel of the truck itself. As she watched her children, Lily and Max, chase each other in the yard, their carefree laughter echoed against her tumultuous thoughts. She had always been their protector, doing everything within her power to provide a stable life for them. Yet here she was on the precipice of potentially disastrous decisions. She had to know what lay within that hidden tank compartment, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to plunge them into a whirlwind of chaos. "Sarah, are you going to open it?" Lily chirped, her bright eyes wide with curiosity, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in her mother's mind. "Just a minute, sweetheart," Sarah replied, forcing a smile as she knelt down to tie Lily's shoelaces. The decision to investigate the compartment felt monumental, but the nagging worry about who might be looking for the bonds also loomed large. She had heard stories in the neighborhood, stories about people who had come to grief over much less. The recollections of her father, a firefighter who had spoken of trust and betrayal, lanced through her mind. There was no doubt that something precious was concealed within the truck. But what if it brought trouble? As twilight descended, Sarah made her way to the garage. The air thick with anticipation, she steeled herself. The fire truck stood like a sentinel, and she was its unwitting keeper. With trembling hands, she located the latch that opened the hidden compartment. As she pried it open, the darkness within revealed itself, yawning wide like a mouth waiting to consume her. "Please, let this be our fortune," Sarah whispered, though deep down, she was acutely aware that fortunes come with strings attached, often dangerously tangled strings. Her heart raced as she reached inside, fingers brushing against cold metal. With a sharp tug, she pulled out an old, rusted box, heavy and ominous. Her breath hitched as she opened it, revealing neatly stacked bonds, their values printed in bold letters. She gasped, realizing that what lay before her equated to a staggering $234 million. But her moment of elation was short-lived. A sudden voice cut through her reverie like a knife. "What do you think you're doing, Sarah?" Paul Henderson, her ex-husband and perennial thorn in her side, stood in the doorway, arms crossed and a cynical smile plastered across his face. He had always believed he deserved more than what life had given him, and now he had spotted an opportunity. This was a man who had made a career out of taking advantage of others, and Sarah could see the wheels turning in his mind. "Paul, she stammered, the box clutched tightly to her chest, instinctively shielding it from his greedy gaze. "Save it," Paul interrupted, stepping closer, his eyes gleaming with malice. I saw you buy that old piece of junk. I never thought you'd find anything of value in it, but now it seems you have struck gold. You do know I can help you sell those, don't you? No. Sarah's voice rang out with unexpected defiance. I'm not selling them. This is my chance to give our kids a life they deserve. Paul laughed, a cruel sound that made her skin crawl. You think you can do this alone? You're just a single mother with 2 kids and no money. You'll need me. You'll need my connections. And I'll ensure you get a fair share. For a price, of course. His words hung in the air, thick with deceit. Sarah could feel the walls closing in, the sheer absurdity of the situation clawing at her mind. She had fought tooth and nail to keep Paul out of their lives, and now he was trying to worm his way back in, exploiting her desperation. I'll go to the police, Sarah spat, her voice trembling with righteous anger. I'll tell them what you're trying to do, and they'll see through your lies. Go ahead, Paul sneered, tilting his head as if challenging her. But when you do, you'll lose everything. You'll lose the truck, the bonds. Everything will be gone. You'd better think twice before dragging our family into this. The threat hung ominously, a dark cloud looming overhead. Sarah looked at him, the man who once promised to love her, but had ultimately become a tormentor. The contrast to the sweet laughter of her children outside cut deeply. She felt a surge of determination rise within her. Stay away from us, Paul, she said, her voice steady. I'm not going to let you intimidate me. I can take care of my kids without your help. Paul stepped back, calculating. We'll see about that, Sarah. You may have won this round, but I've got my eyes on those bonds. You'll regret not taking my offer. With that, he turned, leaving her alone with the weight of the truck and her newfound fortune. Sarah's heart was still racing, adrenaline mingling with a sense of dread. She knew this was only the beginning. Paul would not let this go easily. As she tucked the box back into the compartment, Sarah felt a tight knot of fear settle in her stomach. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about her family, their safety, and the life she envisioned for them, free from Paul's shadow. The laughter of her children echoed through the garage, and she clung to that sound, her anchor amidst the gathering storm. She would protect them at all costs, even if it meant facing the demons of her past. As night fell over the small town, Sarah watched the orange glow of the streetlights through the garage windows, a stark contrast to the dark clouds swirling in her mind. She had spent the last few hours in a whirlwind of emotions, struggling to reconcile the excitement of her newfound fortune with the reality of Paul's threats. The weight of the bonds in the hidden compartment of the fire truck felt both like a lifeline and a noose, pulling her deeper into a conflict she had never anticipated. When Paul arrived that evening, Sarah felt her heart race. He walked in, his face a mask of arrogance, confident that he would intimidate her into submission. I think we need to talk, Sarah, he said, folding his arms, the shadows of the garage framing him like a foreboding figure. You can't just ignore the situation we're in. You owe me. I owe you nothing, Paul, Sarah replied, her voice steadier than she felt. She squared her shoulders, ready to confront the man who had caused her so much pain. You think you can control me with threats? This time you're wrong. Paul's expression shifted, a flicker of surprise mixed with anger. You really think you can just walk away with the money? That fire truck belongs to both of us, and so do those bonds. You won't get away with this. In that moment, Sarah felt a surge of defiance rise within her. She took a deep breath and said, I found them, Paul. They're mine. You made it clear that you weren't interested in the fire truck. You saw it as a burden. I took a risk. I have every right to keep what I found. Paul stepped closer, invading her space. You think this is just about the money? This is about you undermining me, making a fool of me in front of everyone. I won't allow it. Sarah's heart raced, but she stood her ground. This isn't about you anymore, Paul. It's about my kids and my future. You think you can bully me into submission? Not this time. Her courage was fueled by the love for her children, the laughter that had echoed in the garage just hours before. Paul's eyes narrowed as he considered her words, the tension in the room palpable. Sarah could see the wheels turning in his mind, a mixture of anger and confusion. So, what's your plan? Just to keep the money and pretend I don't exist? You'll need me, Sarah. You always have. And you've always dragged me down. She shot back, her voice growing stronger. I'm done with your games. I'm taking control of my life, with or without you. The air crackled with tension as Paul's bravado faltered. For a moment, it looked like he would lash out, but instead he seemed to deflate, a realization washing over him. You really think you can do this alone? Yes, Sarah replied, the conviction resonating in her voice. I've done it before and I can do it again. I don't need your approval or your threats. I have my children, and I have a plan. Paul took a step back, the fire in his eyes dimming as defeat began to settle in. You're making a huge mistake, Sarah. You think this is just going to go away? You've not heard the last of me. As he turned to leave, Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. The confrontation had been tough, but she had stood her ground. The immediate threat of Paul's control had dissipated, replaced by a sense of freedom she hadn't felt in years. In the hours that followed, Sarah felt buoyed by her victory. She sat in the garage, surrounded by the remnants of her old life, yet it felt different now. The fire truck wasn't just a vehicle. It had transformed into a symbol of empowerment. She spent the night planning, mapping out how she could use the bonds to invest in her future. In the months that followed, life began to change. With the bonds safely stored away, Sarah pursued her dreams more aggressively. She enrolled in a course that would help her develop skills for a better job, one that would allow her to provide a stable income for her children. The weight of Paul's influence began to lift, and she embraced her independence fully. Her children thrived in this new environment, their laughter echoing more often in the house. Sarah noticed how much closer they had become, how they took joy in simple things. Baking together, playing in the park, and watching movies on cold evenings. She no longer felt the shadow of Paul looming over her decisions. Years later, Sarah stood in front of the fire truck, now polished and restored, a treasured piece of her past that had led her to a future she had fought for. The bonds had not just represented money. They had been a catalyst for change, propelling her into an empowered life filled with purpose. Her children, now teenagers, had watched her journey from fear to fortitude. They had learned resilience from her struggles and determination from her victories. As she reflected on her life, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The demons of her past had been faced, and she had emerged stronger, an inspiration not just to her kids, but also to herself. In that moment, the fire truck symbolized a new beginning, a testament to the battles fought and won, and the unbreakable bond of family that had been forged through adversity. Sarah stood tall, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that she had built a life on her own terms, one laugh at a time.